Hello, my name is Haley Page. I'm going to show you around my project-based quest that I created. My project-based quest was designed for kindergartners and focuses on the next generation science standard K-ESS-2, Earth Systems, which is used and share observations of local weather conditions to describe patterns over time. So today I'm going to give you a brief overview of my project and guide you around the site that I created. My site is called Science Exploration Mini Meteorologist, and it focuses on the standard Earth systems, which is describing local weather conditions and patterns. I have a variety of other Common Core standards too if you would like to glance at it. My project length takes approximately 2 weeks depending on how you structure it and how much time you allot to each of the parts. For days 1 through 4, I split students into groups and assign them roles, and based on their roles, they will be working in their groups to conduct research, and at the end of the day, they're going to be discussing with their group what they found out and questions in their role. And then each day, on days 1 through 4, a weather group's going to be pulled aside to conduct an experiment. And then days 5 through 6, students are going to be creating a circle chart based on the research they found, answering their roles questions, and then be developing 2 to 3 complete sentences that they will be using later on. Days 7 through 8, the students are going to be working in groups to create a weather book on their specific weather type that they were assigned, and they'll be using whole sentences, pictures, they'll be adding a title, the author, all around for that book in the group. And then day 9, they're going to be presenting their book, giving the knowledge of the topic, and be answering classmates' questions. The technology requirements is that all students must have access to computers and the internet to complete the research, and that since the students are at such a young age, I provided the resources, links, and videos, and they have been previously approved, so it's easier for them to access in class. So let's move on and I'll show you around my site. So this is my introduction page where I just welcome the students to my project, and I write them a little letter, what they're expected to complete and what they're going to be learning throughout this project. But basically, to navigate my site, there's these tabs at the very top that you can click on that will show you where you want to go. So I have introduction, task page, process directions, process materials, roles, evaluation, conclusion, and teacher page. But we already went over teacher page. I'm going to go over quickly the task page. On the task page, I briefly go over what the roles of the students are and what activities I'm going to be going through for this project. So it goes just brief, it's not very detailed. But if we move on to the next, the process is going to go into detail about my project. So this is my project direction page where it goes through step by step of what the students are expected to do and complete. Step 1 would be assigning to a group. Step 2 is choosing a specific weather pattern that each group will be assigned to. Step 3 is conducting research on their weather type using the preset materials given and collaborating with the team members of the research they got. Step 4 is the students are going to be pulling aside and be doing experiments on days 1 through 4. Step 5 is going to be the creation of the circle chart of the 3 sentences. Step 6 is the creation of the group weather journal, and then step 6 is the sharing their presentation. So we'll move on to the materials page. Here on the materials page I have a lot of information. I have three columns describing directions for this project. The first column is experiment directions, where I go through each of the 4 experiences. I go for each weather types, doing the materials needed and the link to the project where you can find it. Then column 2 is the research resources, where I have a variety of links that kids can go to, getting information and important information about all the weather types. I also provide some videos that goes through each of the weather types to provide a good understanding. And if you scroll down farther, you will see that I gave links and books and videos for each of the weather types also, so particular groups can go to their weather type to look there. And then the last column, I have additional resources where I go over the circle chart and the tree chart and also the materials needed to create the weather journal book. Lastly, I have 3 more pages: the evaluation page where I post the rubrics on how the student will be graded throughout this project, and the conclusion page which just concludes the project and lets the students know what they learned. But I like to quickly go over on what students' roles are going to be in this project. There are 5 roles: a weather reporter, we have a scientist, which will discuss on how the weather type occurs, what causes the weather, is it a part of cycle. We have the investigator, whose role is to describe what the weather is like, finding research and materials, and using their senses to discover what the weather is like. We have the adventurous, whose role is to figure out what activities you can do this weather. And we have a fashionista, whose role is to discover what you're supposed to be wearing, what appropriate clothing you wear in that weather. And just at the end, it just says that people in these roles are also going to be discussing and sharing with their partners. So they're not only keeping this information themselves, they'll be sharing it so all students will have the same information. But that is it. This is my profile. If you have any other questions, you can look on my teacher's page and contact me. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will look further into my project. Thank you.